Alrighty, let's do a few more word problems and some review of stuff. Okay, so here we go. Number one, remember we should be looking through the problem and seeing what words we see between angle, complement, and supplement. And if I read through this, I see the word supplement and angle and complement. Like I told you, they may all show up. So remember, it's up to you what you want to call the angle. You could call it J, you could call it K. Most of us just stick with X. Okay, so being consistent, I'm just going to say X equals, and you're writing the actual word angle. Remember, you're required to do three things. Set up the variables, that's what we're doing now. Set up the equation, and then show all work to solve. Okay, so X is the angle. We should know its complement is 90 minus X. So just go ahead and write exactly what it is. I'll just say comp. And 180 minus X would be its supplement. Okay. All right. Now we're ready to set up the equation. So setting up the equation is going to say, remember, we just jump right in and start reading. When I come across the word supplement, I write exactly what it says in the definition, okay, of the variables here in that first column. So supplement is 180 minus X. And it's just supplement of an angle. So that's still the same thing. Keyword is. Ooh, is means equals. Put the equal sign and do not come back to the left-hand side. 10 less than is supposed to mean subtract 10 at the end. Okay, so minus 10 from whatever you're coming up with next. The next thing says 6 times the complement. All right, the complement, if you go back to your defining variables, is 90 minus X. So how do you write 6 times that quantity? It needs to be in parentheses. So on a quiz, I could just ask you, just set up your equation. That would be it. Okay. All right, now the solving part. If we continue on, then I am going to go ahead and distribute that 6. So 180 minus X, 6 times 90 is 540. 6 times negative X is negative 6X minus 10. All right, we'll combine like terms on that right-hand side, so the left stays the same. 540 minus 10 is going to give me 530 minus 6X. All right, I'm ready to move my X's. I'm going to choose to make my X's positive. So which way would that mean I should move my X's? Well, if I want them positive, that means I'm going to add 6X to both sides. That'll go away, and I will have, well, 6X minus X, just because I like my X's first. I'm going to have 5X. Bring down that 180, okay, equals 530. And then I'm going to take and subtract 180. That go away. And therefore, 5X equals 350. Divide by 5. And X will equal 70. Okay. I need to go back as always. I'm not going to box that until I read. That might be my answer. That might not be my answer. Depends on what they're asking me. So in this question, it does say find the angle. Well, guess what? Looking right there at the definition, X is the angle. So I will just go ahead and say degrees and box it, and X actually is 70 degrees. All right. All right, number 2. Number 2. Let's get us a little bit of room here. So again, working through, we want to do our defining variables. Looking through the problem, I see the word angle and I see the word complement. Okay, so I'm ready to define X as the angle. And its complement would be 90 minus X. Okay, 90 minus X. And then if I go ahead and set up my equation, it says an angle. Okay, well, again, it's jumping right in. It's jumping right in with an angle. So when I see the word angle from these definitions here, I write X. Is a key word. It means put the equal sign and don't come back to the left-hand side. 9 less than means subtract 9 from what they're about to tell you. All right, so I'll put minus 9 at the end. And now it says half its complement. Well, half its complement, which also means like half of its complement. Remember, of means multiply. All right, so I need half in front of this quantity of 90 minus x. All right, here's where you start playing an important part with those horizontal fraction bars. So half of 90 minus x in parentheses. So there's your equation and your setup. Okay, the rest is now going to be solving. So let's see, what do I do with that fraction? We don't just ignore it. There's a couple of things we could do. I'm going to clear the fractions, right? That's why we've talked about that. Don't ignore them. Instead, get rid of them. So here's the first thing we need to work through. Hopefully you realize 90 minus x is the same as 90 minus x over 1. So if I really thought of just putting a dot here and multiplying these two fractions together, you would just multiply straight across. So now you would have x equals 90 minus x on top and 2 on the bottom minus 9. Okay. Now I have sort of these three sections that we talked about when we were clearing fractions, where I'm just going to say, let's make everything a fraction. So x is going to be over 1. The 90 minus x is already over 2. And the negative 9 is going to be over 1 to not change the problem. Okay. Now, last time when we did this, we said find the common denominator between the 1, the 2, and the 1, which would be the biggest number they all go into. That's 2. Last time I was making you put a 2 in front of each of those little pieces. You may still want to go do that if this gets too complicated. Okay. However, if you start getting good at this, I will let you simply put a big parenthesis and say, I know the common denominator is 2 over 1, so I need to multiply everything in there by 2 over 1. So what I am thinking without writing it, I'll erase this because it's going to get complicated, is I'm thinking about, all right, so again, I'm going to be distributing the 2 to that first part. I'll distribute the 2 over 1 to that part, and I'll distribute the 2 over 1 to that part. Okay, so one at a time. Let me get rid of this. I'll just leave a lot of space in here since obviously you can't see me pointing to the board. Let's pretend I'm doing this part first. Okay, so here we go. 2 over 1 times x over 1 is going to give us 2x. I don't need to write the over 1. The next part, 2 over 1 times 90 minus x over 2. You should be thinking the 2's are canceling. So each of the 2's are going to turn into 1 because 2 goes into 2 once. And then 1 times this quantity of 90 minus x. Well, 1 times anything is just itself. So I'm just going to get 90 minus x over 1, which is just 90 minus x. And then lastly, 2 over 1 times negative 9 over 1 will give me negative 18 over 1. And I don't have to write the over 1. Voila, magic, there's no fractions. That's why the beauty is clearing those fractions, guys. Okay, go back and practice that yourself. If you have any fractions after this first step, then you've done something wrong. You know to go back and fix it. Okay, all right, I'm ready to clear fractions, or sorry, not clear fractions, but combine like terms. So 90 minus 18 on the right-hand side will give me 72 minus x. I'm going to add x to both sides then, because that will isolate them. I'll have 3x on the left equals 72. Divide by 3 on both sides, and x will equal 24. All right, don't box it. Got to make sure I'm doing what I'm supposed to. I notice I go back and read. It says find both angles. All right, so the question is x one of the angles? Again, I'm looking here at my variables. X is one of the angles. So since it's an angle, I will make it degrees and box it. And the other angle would be its complement. So 90 minus x, or 90 minus 24, which will equal 66 degrees. Once again, on a quiz, for that question, finding both angles, you would put 24 degrees, comma 66 degrees on the answer blank. All right? Keep practicing these, guys. Do well.